Hello everyone, welcome to the Cinema Analysis channel. I am Juzo. This channel will explore the hidden truths of films that are not usually revealed. Today I'd like to talk about Waking Life. What is the significance of the film? What did the director pursue? I'd like to talk about such things. If you haven't seen the film, I suggest you watch it first. So let's get started. So did you see the film? Many people seem to be unsure of how to respond or appreciate to this film. Basically, it is a film in which various people talk their view of life or philosophy. The footage has its original excellent sense of plot. Such understandings may be general. However, what the director pursued was not only such things. The first step to appreciate this film is to surrender yourself to the world of this film without thinking the content of it deeply. Movies are originally made for entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with simply enjoying the pleasures they offer. This film can be described as a psychedelic film. Psychedelism was a symbol of counterculture from the 1960s to the 1970s. It influenced a wide range of art forms, including literature, music, graffiti, and painting. In cinema, too, we can find works that show this influence. Films like The Trip, Dune, and 2001: A Space Odyssey. The Trip tells the story of a man who starts using LSD after his divorce. The Risky Point presents hippie culture in an absurd and hallucinatory way. The climax of 2001: A Space Odyssey is particularly famous, featuring a fantastical sequence of warping through outer space. This Stargate scene lasts over 9 minutes, and many people watch it again and again. It creates a feeling that your consciousness is being transported to another world. A demand for this kind of imagery was born, what we now call psychedelic visuals. It's not impossible to create such images without using drugs. Whether it's drugs or alcohol, the goal is often to suppress the function of reason and bring out hidden instincts. But it's also possible to suppress reason without using any substances. Children are natural geniuses at this. Their reasoning abilities are still developing, so their instincts and imaginations come out more freely. Similarly, great artists who retain a childlike heart can create psychedelic images without relying on drugs. For example, Hayao Miyazaki's Ponyo, The Wind Rises, and The Boy and the Heron are full of psychedelic expression. Yet Miyazaki does not use drugs. Waking Life can also be seen as part of this tradition of psychedelic imagery. Though animated, the film was made using a special method. First, actors performed in front of the camera. Then the footage was digitally processed to create animation. Because multiple artists worked on the project, the artistic style changes from scene to scene, giving the film a mysterious, dreamlike quality. Background and characters constantly sway and distort, making viewers feel as though they are inside a dream. That's exactly why the film was made as animation. The protagonist is trapped in a dream and cannot wake up. Animation was chosen specifically to express this dream world. When we are dreaming, we often don't realize it. In this film, many real people appear as themselves. It's not quite acting. They speak their own thoughts, which are then filmed and animated. Real-life moments are turned into animation. The result is a world where the boundary between reality and fiction is unclear. This highly original and astonishing method of expression perfectly suits the film's theme. The protagonist wakes up when the boy's body floats upward, right after the girl says, "Dream is destiny." But this too is still a dream. Now, as an adult, the protagonist is approached by the driver of a boat-shaped car. The driver delivers a monologue that lasts for over a minute. This is where the film's central theme is explained. What the driver is saying is that everyone is born into specific circumstances, into an environment and conditions they didn't choose. But what really matters is what you want to do, and how you choose to do it within that context. At the beginning of the film, the girl says, "Dream is destiny." The circumstances you are born into are shaped by destiny. And in this film, destiny is portrayed as a dream. After the monologue, the driver asks, "So where do you want out?" The protagonist replies, "I don't know really, anywhere is fine." This shows that he doesn't know what he wants or how he wants to live. Since this is a dream, he should be free to do whatever he wants, yet he doesn't know what that is. I think many people can relate to this feeling. Why do we have nightmares? Reality is always full of unpleasant things. We want to be happy, at least in our dreams, but sometimes we are still haunted by fear or confusion. Perhaps it's because we don't know where we are trying to go. The man sitting next to him in the back seat suggests choosing a place at random. This character is played by director Richard Linklater himself. When the protagonist gets out of the car, he's suddenly hit by another car. He realizes this too was a dream, but he's still dreaming. In another dream, he's attending a university lecture. This lecturer is the philosopher Robert C. Solomon playing himself. He says, "It's like your life is yours to create. It's us talking, making decisions, doing things, and taking the consequences." Next, the protagonist meets writer Kim Chisholm. She says that although communication is uncertain, it is also a source of joy and the purpose of life. Then he meets Professor Eamon Healy, a chemistry professor, who delivers a dense monologue lasting over 3 minutes. To put it simply, humanity is evolving at an accelerating pace. But this evolution happens on the level of the individual, not the group. In the past, social adaptation, fitting into the group's expectations, was seen as ideal. But going forward, individuals will move in the direction of their own desires. Diverse values will coexist, not to destroy or dominate one another, but to support one another. Perhaps the core theme of the film is expressed up to this point. After that, the protagonist continues to meet various people, or even seems to take on their roles himself, expressing different thoughts and ideas. Since this is all happening in a dream, everything we see and hear can be seen as a part of the protagonist's inner world. Some of these expressions are positive, others are negative. We see a man committing a self-immolation, a man screaming in a jail cell, another shouting through a loudspeaker while driving a car. These could be representations of frightening, chaotic aspects within the protagonist's subconscious. The man with the loudspeaker is Alex Jones, a well-known conspiracy theorist, playing himself. Most likely the things he says in the film are his own actual beliefs. There's a scene where a man and a woman are talking in a bedroom. They talk about how, even if you spend a long time in a dream, only a short time passes in reality. If people experience similar dreams at the moment of death, then maybe what we believe is real life is actually a dream we're having before dying. This raises a science fiction and philosophical question. At the beginning of the famous film, The Matrix, the protagonist discovers that the world he believed was real is actually a virtual simulation. If you believe virtual reality is real, how can you tell the difference? There's a well-known story by the ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi called the butterfly dream. In his dream, he becomes a butterfly and flies around freely. Then he wakes up and returns to being a man. But he wonders, what if he's actually a butterfly now, dreaming he's a man? This isn't just fantasy. Where is the evidence that it isn't true? What we believe to be reality could simply be a dream. We might be sleeping in a capsule somewhere, like Neo in the Matrix, and dreaming all of this. But does it even matter whether we're a butterfly or a human at this point? Is it more despairing to be a butterfly or to be a human? If either is possible, then perhaps we should choose which one we want to believe. Human beings are said to have freedom. But what is freedom, and do we really want it? A philosopher named David Sosa appears and shares his perspective. His ideas go back to before quantum mechanics. He explains that the universe operates according to a divine order. From the moment of the Big Bang, every elementary particle moved in a way that followed that order. So human beings don't have free will. Our actions are just part of that cosmic pattern. Dr. Sosa is, of course, aware of quantum mechanics, but he believes its randomness has little impact on this larger order. And even if the universe is random, he argues that it's not something to celebrate. In fact, he says he would rather choose to be a cog in a machine. Later, two women are seen talking in a cafe. One is Lisa Moore, an associate professor of English literature at the University of Texas at Austin. The other is Carol Dawson, a writer and actress. Their conversation is often referred to as the aging paradox. They say they feel like they have more time now than they did when they were younger. They believe this is because people are always changing their thoughts, their curiosity, their sense of time. Not only do our thoughts change, but our bodies are also completely replaced every 7 years. Yet people still think of themselves as the same person as they were. Interestingly, the Old Testament also speaks of a 7-year cycle for release from debt. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lends aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Did ancient people somehow know that the body renews itself every 7 years? Modern science suggests that it takes about 7 years for the entire human body, including bones, to be replaced. Some parts, like flesh, regenerate even faster, less than a year. However, brain cells and heart cells are exceptions. You can change your thoughts without replacing brain cells. So if your body cells are replaced, shouldn't you be able to change into whatever form you want? But that doesn't usually happen. The body tries to maintain its original shape even as it regenerates itself. This function is called homeostasis. Even though you are a completely different person now than you were as a baby, you construct a sense of identity that connects the two. Lisa Moore says that this identity is a kind of fiction. Many people feel that introducing themselves is a hassle. Why are you the person you are today? Can you really explain it? As Lisa Moore says, it's a fiction. And yes, it's kind of a hassle. Maybe not for people who like writing resumes. but for someone like director Richard Linklater, it probably is a hassle. The driver at the beginning of the film seems like the kind of person who doesn't want to introduce himself either.